A little technical difficulty maybe getting started, but yeah, there we go.
You're good. All right, go ahead,
Yeah.
Kent. Jump in there.
Okay, jump in there. Well, our first topic is to thank Jennifer here for the pizza shop, letting us come and to occupy our back room. And so if you're in the neighborhood and want some great pizza, come on down here. We're in the back, live, coming to you. We got a few other people here. We actually had our new city administrator dropped in to say hi. We can't tell you who he is or show him, but, well, actually, we can tell you who he is. His name's out there, but we can't actually reveal his image until next Monday.
Yes, we decided we were going to tease being able to meet him in person, although he was at one council meeting already.
That's true.
But his first official meeting will be Monday night, June 6th.
Yep.
In the council chambers. So,
which, by the way, you're running that meeting
I will.
that night.
That's right.
Yep,
Mayor Ross is out of town.
You're acting Mayor Pro Tem for a year.
I get to step in and run some things for a night. So it'll probably be the last one they let me do after that one, but that's all right.
I don't think so. I don't think so. I think you got a starry career ahead of you.
Well, we're excited to be here tonight. We are in beautiful downtown Blue Springs at the pizza shop. So there is free pizza here that you can come enjoy. Have a couple people in the audience, the usual peanut gallery, but and my beautiful children and family is here as well, so can come say hi to them. But you probably decided by now what you're going to do if you're not here already. But maybe they live close by, want to walk and get some pizza.
Weather's not too bad now, so come on down.
They got home, forgot about dinner, something like that. Come have some wonderful pizza shop pizza. I think there's some options. But if not, we will be taking questions on Facebook Live as well. So we're not just going to fill time and we're just going to jump right in because I've seen some of these Facebook Lives before where they just talk about how they're going to wait on people to show up. We're not going to wait.
No.
It's going to be recorded. You can jump in. So I think the first thing we want to talk about tonight is the district lines have changed.
Yes.
If you didn't know already. So tell them a little about what our District 2 looks like now.
Well, so with the new census that came out, District 3 has expanded enough, which they have to balance those districts out. So in thinking ahead and knowing that down south is going to grow more, they've expanded District 2. So where our boundaries used to run, basically I-70 on the north, and then come down 7 Highway to R.D. Mize, and then you go east up to Sunnyside School Road, down 40 Highway to 7 Highway, back over to Clark all the way down to 19th Street, then back north to 40 Highway, and then all the way out to the western boundaries.
Right.
So currently, we still keep those northern boundaries, but we do come down Sunnyside School Road, and then come across 40 Highway,
right,
and then pick up AA all the way over to Adams Dairy Parkway. We get the west side of Adams Dairy Parkway over to William Bryant, right around there.
Just before William Bryant.
Just before William Bryant, and then runs all the way across over to 7 Highway right there, across from Culverts. Right at that intersection, that's our dividing line, and then we jump south over to Clark, take Clark all the way across, and actually pick up some additional stuff on the north side of Clark once you go past 19th Street.
So Gingerbread, Alice, some of Victor, all those areas kind of behind Red Racks, behind Ace Hardware, across some AA Highway. All that is new to District 2, which you should be excited because, as we always say, all the exciting things happen in District 2. All the new development that we'll talk about tonight, almost all of it's in District 2.
Yes, a lot of that.
A lot of the new stuff. So we're making some things happen in District 2. So
they have been for a while, and it's we still want to continue on that growth. So
another new thing, as we kind of talked about a little bit, so we have a new city administrator. His first official day was today. So Mike Eakey was an assistant city administrator in Raymore, but a resident of Blue Springs already, so not unfamiliar with the area. He's going to hit the ground running. We've been excited to already start to be working with him on some things. I think we talked a little bit earlier. He's doesn't have all his boxes unpacked, but he started. But his first official meeting will be the Monday night meeting here next week. And so you'll have a new face on the dais. But that's exciting as well. It'll be the first time in a long time that we've had kind of some new perspective on how we're doing things.
Yeah,
and
he comes with a good background from being out in the area. They've had some industrial growth out there. They've had a new interchange on the interstate added in out that way.
Yeah.
So he's got some good qualifications that we were looking for here in Blue Springs. He ranked very high on the applications and our interviews and stuff. So we're really pleased to have him. I think he'll be a great asset to Blue Springs.
Yeah, and if for those of you that don't know, when we went through this process of getting a new city administrator, we not only interviewed him, we had members of the community, stakeholders like the Chamber of Commerce and the fire department, school districts. So we had a lot of people involved in this process, and he kind of rose to the top. So we're really excited about getting him started in this new role. And so you'll start to see him at different events. He showed up here tonight for a little bit, and it'll be exciting to kind of see him engage on this level in the community.
Putting a little extra time in there, trying to get settled into the job, which we appreciate.
So we thought we'd start out with new things, and development is kind of the new things that are happening in District 2.
So if anybody been on Facebook in any recent time, the most popular question besides storage buildings and kangaroos, let's ignore that, is the new development that's going on right at I-70 and 7 Highway. We all know Whataburger's opened up. We may be disappointed a lot of people that thought the world was going to come to end and you couldn't get anywhere on I-70 or on 7 Highway because Whataburger was going to open up. It actually had a good opening. The police department had a good plan that when they did need it, it did work. But it was fairly short-lived, and they seem to be doing really well. We've had conversations with their district people, and they're pleased with the opening. That's the third one opening up in the Missouri side, so they're real happy to be there. And in that same area, we have Tacos for Life, which if you've been by there, you're seeing that the construction's going up. So that's in the process. And then if you go directly to the east, over across the highway, you have the Mo Better building that is got the structure going up on that. So a lot of people have talked about, another fast food. Well, they must know something we don't because they're wanting to move here. So, we seem to be a popular area that's growing, and we're getting some of those people. They don't come here not to make money. They come here to do it. And we're one of the last ones to know what's on the line coming in. We'd like to maybe have some fancy restaurants or something along that line, but we don't choose that. We don't pick and choose winners. We just try to help them make it easier for them to come to Blue Springs and build.
Councilmember Kaler is trolling us on our Facebook feed, just so you know. So shout out to Councilmember Kaler there. Yes, exactly. I think one thing that might be important to explain about development, because we do get complaints sometimes about we don't have enough of something, or why the biggest complaint we got, why did Whataburger go to that location? Well, we did not decide to put Whataburger in that location. Whataburger decided they wanted to be in that location. And so the only decision we really have to make as council members is whether or not we're going to say yes or no. And even then, we don't sometimes have that choice even. As long as they fit the zoning and they can make the plans that fit everything, then that usually...
They check all the boxes. You really can't turn them down.
We can't even say no. But in some cases, when it's a rezoning or something, we can say, no, we don't feel like that type of business works well for that area. But most of the time, that's our only decision. Whataburger said, we want to be here. And we can either say, no, you can't be there, or yes, you can. If we say no, there's no guarantee they're going to want to be somewhere else. And if we start saying no to everything, eventually nobody's going to be asking anymore. And so it's a tough decision for us to decide if that's something that could work in that location. Is it appropriate for the surrounding businesses? But that's really the only decision we get to make. We don't really get to do a lot of telling people where to locate. Or a big thing for us on Woods Chapel for District 2 has been a grocery store. And that's something that we've already communicated to the new city administrator that we would like to see. So we're working on it. We think there's some room for improvement. We don't currently have an economic development manager, but that's on our list of things to do as well. And we really think that person can be proactive in trying to attract some things, be more proactive and not reactive.
Yeah, we do keep track of what's going on in the community around us. You know, you see development going in other areas of eastern Jackson County. And so we do try to keep up with that. And if we see something going on that we think that, hey, that's a great deal, why can't we get involved in that? We do try to pressure staff to go forward and look and, you know, go out and talk to people or try to get them in here. So.
And we do need you guys to ask questions on the Facebook page for us to answer them. So, or anybody in the audience here. There's only a couple of you, so if you have a question, feel free to raise
So
a
one of the
hand
questions
or
we've
indicate
gotten of late is the development, what's that project that's on Coronado down by the golf course?
Oh,
just
yes.
down by the driving range. And it was a structure. Calamar was the one that brought it through. It was a senior living facility, not assisted living, but more senior dedicated apartments with like a community kitchen, some of the things that seniors would like. That development really got nixed when COVID hit, and I know there was a lot of talk about what caused it, what kept it from going forward, and a lot of it was that when COVID hit, things just shut down across everywhere. So banks quit loaning money. So that organization basically was, you know, borrowing money to build that up and develop that, and that money dried up. And so that's what kind of brought that to a halt. And it set for a while, set for a long while. But they are back. They've come back in. We've required since the length of time of that development that it needed to be rechecked with an engineer, submit new permits, new architectural drawings, basically almost starting from scratch. But they could use the existing site. They would have an engineer come in and look and say what is good, what is not, and what is not is going to have to be removed. So we're hopefully that will start picking up, and maybe by later on this fall you'll see actually some development going out there, and that will actually be going in.
Yeah, you said they've submitted new plans.
Yep.
So we're kind of going through that process now. There's some people responsible to make sure it's done safely.
Correct.
And so we're trying to hold them accountable to make that property become something.
Yep.
If not complete the plans they already had or that they're proposing now, something else. So one question we did get here from Terry is, when will something happen on the corner of 9th and Jones? I think that's John Broker's property that's actually going through the process now.
Yes.
So
They've been approved for rezoning. It will be coming before us, I think, Monday night.
It was supposed to be on the agenda. I think it might be continued until later. So what is being proposed at the corner of 9th and Jones is 5 apartment buildings that are 4 stories tall. And so
Basement and upper story.
yes, basement and
3
kind of
stories.
a half story with
Yep.
3 stories above it.
Yep.
That was actually turned down at the Planning Commission last week. And so the developers kind of going through that process now. And then at some point, with the recommendation from the Planning Commission, that will come before the council, and we'll have to make that final decision.
Final decision
So-
on that one. Yeah, that one is kind of along the theme of what the council has come forward and tried to get downtown, is to try to bring some density down here, bring some more people down to the downtown area. And a lot of the easy way to do that is by, you know, going up. You know, there's only so much land available downtown to develop, and so to develop it and try to bring some density in, and so you put in the apartments. They're geared more towards maybe a younger crowd because those people want to walk to the amenities that are downtown, and we've got some great amenities downtown. By that, as far as dining facilities, the pizza shop here is one of them, and I know that's going to help the businesses down here, and when you help those businesses, other businesses want to come down and do it.
We got a question from the audience here. Go ahead.
What happened to the development that I thought was supposed to go in right there next to Scouts and the railroad track?
Yeah, so that's affectionately referred to as the lumberyard property. Yes. Do you want to start?
Okay, so that was a lumberyard at one time. Then the city purchased that property and converted it over from when they were doing some remodeling. Well, they were basically doing construction of the public safety building and then remodeling on City Hall. So at that point, we don't need all that extra land. We're not necessarily in the land business, development business. So we entertain and put out a request for proposal for that, and we did get some bids back saying what they wanted to do. And so one of the proposals was to change that, take that, what was there down, knock it all down, and come back with some live-work type setups on Main Street, some apartments, some condos, a couple of restaurant type themes, and they were going to call it the Yard. It would have a grassy pavilion area with a stage, and that way you could have some entertainment area and stuff. So again, as COVID hits, that kind of puts a hold on everything. So time expired and that plan had expired, and so we decided that there's no sense, we need to go back out and see what else could be available. So we've gone out for requests for proposals. We haven't been anything back into for us to review yet. But during that time, we did receive federal money that could be used to take care of blight, and that's what this fits perfect. So we were able to allocate some of the money from the federal COVID money that we got, the CARES Act, I think it was under that, and have that all taken back down to Greenfield. So, which was, I guess you could say the taxpayers paid for it in some aspects, but the federal money comes from everyone. So instead of having to come back and tear that down at the local taxpayers' expense, we were able to use that federal money to take it down, which also makes it more inviting for somebody to come in and develop it. Because now they don't have to remove all that. They don't have to, clean it all up before, and now they can come and look at it. It's all ready to go. So hopefully that's a still proposal. We like to have that developed to be more dense as far as population. The original plan that we looked at was a 4-story apartment building that's set back in the southeast corner, back by the bridge where Walnut goes up over, and then they had some condo units that were spread kind of around that, and then an L-shaped business area that kind of framed off along Main Street and then parallel with the railroad tracks that was going to be like shops, and then livability above that. And then they had one big restaurant area that was going to be on 14th Street facing Scouts. And then the existing warehouse that's still there as part of that property, that proposal had called for taking that out and making that additional parking. So that's kind of what we'd like to have downtown. I think that would benefit both the businesses and the restaurants and adult places that you come to have adult drinks.
Well, so the short version is the particular plan that was approved before for that is gone. There's, depending on who you ask, different reasons of why that happened, but the short version is it's not longer viable anymore. We did go through another RFP and have received, I think we only got a couple of potential options for it, and we haven't reviewed those yet to see if
Staff
we like
is still
those.
looking at those, and as soon as they do, they get a group together and go over some of the. Jen, you were on that one picking, wasn't you?
No, I haven't been on that one.
You weren't in on that one? Okay. But they do try to bring in like their representatives from downtown to sit on a committee that reviews those and say kind of like, okay, win, lose. This guy, no, this sounds like a great plan, and then they go forward with it.
But ideally, it would be something similar. The council, as Councilman Emerson has been saying, we've been looking for density downtown. That's what all of the planning over the years has been, to bring more people downtown. I wanted to list off like all of the shops and amenities and restaurants downtown, but now I'm going to forget somebody. And then I'm going to get a phone call tomorrow and say, hey, you forgot to mention Pizza Shop. But there's great restaurants downtown. Pizza Shop and Brewers and East 40 are among the ones that we talk about a lot. There's shops downtown that are retail. Scout Coffee has got regional
Genevieve's,
attention.
Yeah, there's places to go, things to buy.
Yeah, and then there's new ones. What's the farm place next door, Jen? I know I'm going to forget. Oh, it's across the street. Okay, so I know. There's new stuff coming that I don't quite remember the name, which is why I'm going to get in trouble tomorrow. I'm going to get an email saying something. But there's new stuff coming downtown. There's restaurants downtown. There's lots of places to hang out. What I keep seeing here is parking. So we've been working on parking for a while. There are some municipal lots that are within a block of downtown, right in front of the police station, where we also have our meetings.
Also the one on 12th Street.
The one on 12th that the chamber helped facilitate. So Kent and I are a bit of dreamers for the downtown area. We've even recently been talking about a municipal garage of some kind. But, there's a lot of work and money that goes into those things. So parking is something we realize is an issue. We would like to try to address it in whatever way we can. We don't have a particular plan about what that looks like.
But yeah, you're going to have to be creative. The yard plan actually called for parking underneath the apartment. Had a parking garage, or what do you want to call it, underneath. And like I say, we've kicked around the idea with when you're landlocked, so to speak, and you don't have any land to use, the best is take what you have and maybe go up with it. And so that was one that we might kick around and at least throw out there and see.
Got to start somewhere.
While we're at that, why don't we talk about Walnut?
Oh yeah, jump in there.
Okay, so again, we tend to try to think a little bit out of the box on some things. And so one of the ideas that we've kicked around for a long time was trying to create a new east-west corridor using Walnut Street. And if anybody's been down, you pretty much, it's a good residential street till you get to 15th Street, going from, say, west over by Sunnyside School Road, for example, in Adams Dairy. It's a nice, pleasant drive, curbs, gutters, really nice. Once you hit 15th Street, we start getting into what's considered Old Town. And from there over to Walnut, all the way over to Woods Chapel, is an old 1950s style roadbed, no curbs, no gutters.
Ditches as water, storm water.
Maybe some sidewalks once in a while, but not much. And so our vision always has been to go ahead and convert that into a modern collector street. So it would have curbs, gutters, sidewalks. That way, kids that are walking to school can walk on a curb. If you're wanting to bicycle, or for example, if you wanted to walk down, the neighbors wanted to walk, or the kids wanted to walk down to the splash pad, which opened up this weekend, there's really not a good, safe way to get there. You can walk down on the edge of the road till you get down to the park, and then you can follow the path up there. But that's one we've really tried to keep pushing out there. It's actually on the capital improvement program.
Right.
It's on there, but it's not funded.
Well, it's on the capital improvement program now because we finally created a project. Thanks for Chris Sandy for putting that together for us.
David, thanks. That's great. Now I can see what I'm doing.
So before, we've talked about improving Walnut with some curbs and sidewalks for a few years now. And so now we actually have some numbers to go with it that we can actually work towards. So for those of you that have been in the city a while know that we improved Woods Chapel. We've improved where Moreland School Road connected to Liggett. We improved the intersection at Colburn and 7 Highway. And so we've also Roanoke up on the north side of town, got some big improvements to make that more.
We work with the city and Mid-America Regional Council to do sidewalks.
All the way on the north from 7 Highway.
And that is a future project for MoDOT. And I can't remember what the date is, but they want to go south on it.
Right. It's another year, I think. I think it's every annual. So now we have some numbers to work towards, and we hope to be able to do that in the not too distant future. Obviously, it's a big project. Also, that accentuated the need for that was the high school is growing. And the new plan for that is to connect the Blue Springs High School with the old freshman center, which will now be the technology center. And so there'll be a road that will connect those over the train tracks, which will mean traffic will flow onto Vesper and likely down 23rd Street down to Walnut. And so improving that whole area for some traffic flow will be necessary. Got another question from the audience here. Go ahead, Mr. Stacer.
Rumors and propaganda on Facebook. What is being built over there across from St. Mary's?
Okay, well, I've seen that question. Okay, so the question was, what is being built across from St. Mary's? I assume you're talking about on Mock. So there's two things being built, and I think that's why there's confusion. So attaching to the field house will be a new water park.
Aquatic Center.
Aquatic Center, yes, I should use the correct terminology. However, there has been approved a 4-building apartment complex in that field between Moley Chevrolet and St. Mary's Manor, I think, or what is it called now? Still St. Mary's Manor?
Still St. Mary's Manor,
St. Mary's
It's
Manor.
Ignite is the parent company.
Yes,
that's
Ignite.
what the sign you'll see outside. I believe that is 154 apartments.
Yeah, it's 4 buildings, I think.
4 buildings in that land. That's what they're doing now, starting to level the land out and lay it out so they can do the infrastructure for it. We have several of those projects throughout the town that are coming in.
Yes, I'm having trouble keeping up with the comments. I can't read them. Once they go away from the initial, I'm having trouble looking at them. So I know one question was, Grain Valley recently approved having side-by-sides on public streets.
Yes, they have.
So the question was, when are we going to do that? I don't know if or when we will do that. It hasn't been proposed. I haven't had a lot of discussion about it. Grain Valley only did it a couple weeks ago. I think from what I have heard, there's some concerns about doing that in Blue Springs, and I'm not sure that it's been as positive in Grain Valley as some have. There's been some complaints even in Grain Valley so far. So it's
There has been some talk with the police department as far as their input on it, and
Right.
so it has been discussed. It's not like we just completely ignored it.
Right. We just haven't had large council conversations about it. So I
Right.
can't tell you if or when it'll happen. It is on our radar.
Yep.
Something we'll continue to look at. I've seen parking a couple times. I think Sung asked about across from Greco Insurance. I think that's the broker property we already talked
Yes.
about. So
And that property, just to clear that up, if that's one of the reasons the planning commission turned it down, was the parking.
They were concerned, yes.
That did have internal parking, but it requires, in that zoning, it only requires one parking space per apartment. There's 40 apartments. They had room for like 38 vehicles, but there's also parking on the street downtown. So around two sides of that, there is parking area that you could park, parallel park side, on Main Street and then on 9th Street. Also, that is only half of that lot that you see when you drive down Main Street. That's a pretty big empty lot. That's
Yeah.
only on the western side of that lot where it would be. The design looks really nice. We were able to see that for the Downtown Review Committee, which I sat on, was able to view that and approve that. So it does have some good possibilities. We're hoping that he doesn't just trash it. He comes back with some new ideas about maybe how to go about doing that. So
yeah, the developer, John Broker, he's the one that's done all of those houses along in that area there on Jones, down 15th Street, has a really good product that we've been impressed with for bringing some density downtown. And so this project that he's proposing is in line with what has been discussed for the downtown area for a long time. And so we think he's on the right track. He's got a good vision. We haven't really reviewed it as a council yet. That's still to be determined. So can't talk a lot about what the particular plans are, and he may make some changes before it gets to us.
But
So,
parking downtown, it does get crowded down here, which is great. I mean, there's times it used to be it was a desert down here. Now, in the evenings, there's a lot of people down here. The problem you have is people are really bad about wanting to drive up in front of where they want to go, get out of their car, and walk 20 feet into the door and come inside. We've got a lot of additional parking, but you may have to walk a half a block to get to it.
Yeah.
So that sometimes may be a deterrent. Hopefully we can get people to realize that it's not that far to walk, and that we do have adequate parking down here.
So I meant to do this when we were doing introductions at the top of the hour. So we want to thank our wonderful staff that's here tonight. They can't be on camera because they're behind the camera. But Miranda and David, our communications team, is here. Miranda, am I missing anything for questions? Did I cover whatever else is on there? I see some questions about when we're talking about Walnut, some concerns about what that might look like. We're just in discussions. There's no particular plans.
Yeah.
So we wouldn't be worried about the stone wall, the cemetery. Those are just discussions that are being had and what that might look like. So we will be considering all of those things.
That's a long-term goal. I mean, it took us forever to get Walnut, or not Walnut, but Woods Chapel redeveloped. I mean, that was a major accomplishment we did early on your career on council.
That's right. Sidewalks, when I was first elected, were the responsibility of the homeowner.
Yep.
And you can wonder how often that got done. It didn't. Not very often.
So now we include sidewalks in, when we do street projects, they come back and then do ADA compliant on the curbs,
Right.
on the corners and stuff. So that was something that we made a change on.
There's a discussion on Jefferson between 7 and Adams Dairy. Okay, headed east off of some 7 to Adams Dairy, sidewalks and curbs. So that's an outer road. We something, I don't know that that's been talked about a lot, Troy, but we can add that. That's District 1. So, you know, all the exciting things happen in District 2.
District 2, yeah.
We'll have to make sure Jerry and Galen are doing their job up there.
Yep.
District 1. We will forward that to them. I think that's the only ones I've seen that okay, nothing else. So,
Yep.
we talked about development a little bit. We
Yeah.
got Whataburger's open, Mo Betta's. Yes,
Yeah.
the perennial question on Facebook, what's going in where Denny's was?
Yeah.
You mentioned that's Tacos
Yep.
for Life.
Yep.
So that'll be exciting. I've got family in Tulsa, and we saw the one down there, so we might have to visit them and join that again. Mo Betta's is a Hawaiian place, just
Yeah.
like Hawaiian Brothers, but it is different.
And you mentioned apartments going in basically across north of St. Mary's Hospital, but
Yeah.
also the Aquatic Center, which I think maybe we ought to go back and visit that a little bit here.
Yeah, I guess that's technically District 1. We'll give
It's District
credit to
1,
the.
but that's on the horizon. That's a happening thing. We've seen the plans. They're going to start doing work on it. I know that a lot of people have maybe not pay attention, but just didn't realize that we turned over Bumgardner's pool, swimming pool,
Yeah.
the public pool, over to the school district for them to take over and maintenance. And they are in their huge construction project, and they will have a pool there. And probably on our timeline, it's going to be about the year after
Right.
is when the aquatic center will be open.
It'll be 2023, the spring of 2023, I
Yep.
think, is it 24? 24, okay.
24 for
good
it.
catch.
23
Spring
would be the schools.
I told my son he'd be in 5th grade when it opens, so that's probably right. So,
And I
yes.
think you won't be disappointed. It will have a lazy river. It's got slides. There's a surfing facility thing that pushes
Mm-hmm.
the water out, and you get on a surfboard. And I'd probably be drowning in that one. But it's got some good meeting rooms, some locker rooms to get access to it. So it incorporates with the existing field house, which has been very popular. So you would be able to access all that amenities right there.
Yeah, that is another common question on Facebook. What's being built where Centennial Pool was? Well, it's another pool.
Yeah.
So the school district, we had 2 swimming pools, public pools in town for a very long time. Last time there was a aquatic center proposed, it failed by a vote, and that's because we had 2 pools that people frequented a lot. Well, both pools are now owned by the school district, exclusive use of the school district. They're not going to be public once they're rebuilt. So Centennial Pool's being a brand new pool building. It's very nice, but it'll be
Competitive
used.
pool for their
Yes.
swimming too.
Competitive for the Blue Springs
Yep.
High School swimmers. And then the old YMCA was purchased by the school district as a competitive pool for the South swimmers. Now, I think, if I remember correctly from talking to the school district, they may allow like the silver sneakers, the senior swimming, some of that kind of physical therapy stuff to still happen, but that won't be open to the public. It's kind of a club-related thing that they'll allow
Right.
specific with those groups. Because I've got that question a couple times, and I think the school district said they'll allow that to continue. But open to the public is not going to be the case. So we won't have anything until we get the aquatic center finished here in a couple of
Well,
years.
we have the splash pad,
We
and
have
it
the
just
splash
opened
pad.
up, and it was extremely popular all last summer. So,
Yeah, it was packed
and that's
this weekend.
That's in our district,
District
right?
2, all the
Yeah.
exciting things happening.
Yeah.
You mentioned something and now I've forgotten what it was. So we do have some other new things with Public Works. We've been looking at Walnut.
Yep.
Also been the new sidewalks we already mentioned.
Yep.
Those will go from I-70 north all the way to Pink Hill, right?
Yes.
And so those have started construction, I
Yeah,
think.
and then the new stuff would be going south.
Right.
So you'll see that happening. For those of you that get upset about coming off I-70, you've seen that we did convince MoDOT to kind of push that up and go back and improve that intersection and at least clean up the potholes and stuff,
Yeah.
which was nice. We do get a lot of mail, so to speak, on the intersections as far as the medians and what's going on with those. And, you know, the case of that is a MoDOT problem. That 7 highway, 40 highway, AA highway are all part of Missouri Department of Transportation's coverage. They take care of those. We could do those ourselves, but you would have to pay for that. And you're already paying taxes to the state, why double, why take your money from the city and take care of something that's a state responsibility? So we do stay after them. We do hound them a lot on that. And sometimes it pays off early, sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah.
We have a comment, question.
What about the possibility of doing the same thing for 7 underneath I-70 as they did the Woods Chapel Bridge over I-70? That would stop a lot of the backup on traffic if they could just go over and get right on the freeway instead of having to worry about the line.
Yeah, those, it's kind of like an underground double diamond diversion type deal, which Woods Chapel is what you're talking about. And those have been very successful around the metro area. Front Street is a good example of that. That's one of those. I'm trying to think of some of the other examples that are like that. That's going to have to be a MoDOT project, possibly through with Mid-America Regional Council. They go out for bid on some of these type projects, which brings up another, not in our district, but something that we've thrown out and suggested that maybe we're due for a new interchange off of I-70. And our idea would be to, put it on their eastern boundary down towards Green Valley, and with PepsiCo going in.
Yeah.
The big warehouse that's right behind Camp World. This Camp World used to be a big thing until they put that warehouse in, and now it looks like just like a little bitty campground right there. But there's some additional growth and additional development out there, warehousing space. That is becoming extremely popular in the Midwest due to the cost of transportation. And with the cost of gas going up, it's even more vital now because it's cheaper to put your main, I don't want to say storage facilities, but like fulfillment center, I guess would be, in the Midwest, because it's cheaper going from here to either coast or any part in the United States coming right straight from here. We have great railroad services coming into Kansas City. You have major interstates that all converge in Kansas City, both north, south, east, west. And so it's a good location to put in, and you're seeing that go up all over the metro, and we're hopefully will be involved in that too. Like I say, we'll have some land out that direction that would I think they actually have talked about coming back and putting more warehousing in out there for it. So
so the question, to repeat for the people on Facebook, was about improving the 7 highway intersection.
Correct, I got off.
Yeah, well, so to kind of recap with the medians and that kind of thing, just because we don't have any control over it, because 7 highway doesn't mean we're not doing anything about it. Yeah. But what that is we contact our MoDOT representatives. We've had discussions with our state representatives about trying to get funding or get MoDOT to take action. And along with that conversation has been improving 7 highway in total, and not just, the medians need immediate addressing. Something needs to get done about those right away. But also 7 highway in general, traffic flow on 7 highway ranks very high on our citizen survey every year. And it's been relieved a little bit. Woods Chapel, the diverging diamond interchange, improved that. We have Adams Dairy now. So we're looking at ways to improve 7 highway in total. But then to talk about this other interchange, I don't know if people realize in the last couple of years, last 2-3 years, we had Forcia open. That was probably 5 years ago. Has it been that long? 4 years ago, Forcia opened. Amazon took over Haldex. And then we have now what was the Blue Springs Logistics Center, which we have found out was rented out entirely by PepsiCo. So that's a distribution facility for them. And there's talk of, Forcia expanding at some point, talk of building another logistics center similar to what PepsiCo rented out. And so that area there, which means for all those trucks to get onto the highway, they either have to go down the outer road to 7 highway or down the outer road to to Adams Dairy, or down the outer road to Grain Valley. And so there's land available there, there's space available there to make an entirely new exit from I-70.
You forgot Coles.
Coles has been there for quite a while, but it adds to the traffic. So we're already putting a lot of traffic on those outer roads and then the intersections that are at each end. And so both north and south side of the interstate, having a new interchange there would be helpful. Yeah. That's a long project. It's a long conversation. As Kent mentioned, our new city administrator has some experience with that in Cass County. And so hopefully we can utilize that skill set to make that happen. But a lot of good progress that maybe people don't realize because it's warehousing or, it's tucked back behind some other buildings. But it's growth that's
Yeah,
adding jobs.
growth, it's jobs.
Yeah, absolutely, making things more exciting. So one thing about, there's a lot of attention for downtown, which is good for, I guess, since it's all in our district.
Yep.
Somebody asked about the vision for more density, not just on Main Street. The general idea, and again, this is just kind of council's concept of what Main Street or downtown could look like, but as we said before, our really only development decision is yes or no. But ideally, what has been discussed for the downtown district is not just Main Street, but a few blocks north and a few blocks south.
Yeah.
And so there is a downtown development plan that has allows for things in the downtown district that are not allowed anywhere else in the city. So it allows for density, allows for height restrictions, it allows for zoning that only exists downtown. And so absolutely, if there's proposals to do some more density further south of Main Street, further north of Main Street, it would be something I think the council would consider that would be consistent with what the plans have been over the years for the downtown area. So
We do have Downtown Alive, which is an organization that kind of tries to promote downtown. It does a really good job of promoting downtown, I should say. And some events down here. If you've been down, you've seen the Gateway Arch that goes across. That was one of their projects. They're looking at doing another one on the western entrance to downtown. We get a lot of comments about, well, Lee Summit has this or Lee Summit has that. Well, Lee Summit had a bigger downtown. When they started out, they had a bigger area. Our downtown was fairly small, and it's maintained that. And so it's almost a redevelopment project. As something comes empty, then somebody needs to come down with some vision, take it over, and try to convert it. And to encourage people to come down here, to do that, you need houses, you need rooftops. Most restaurants, most grocery stores, that's the biggest argument we got on grocery stores, is there wasn't enough rooftops to support it. So that's what we look at. That's why we want to try to get some additional density downtown. We'll see where it goes, but it's a progress that's slow, but it is working. It is working.
There was a comment earlier about having apartments not really, or having condos not really being helpful without the amenities to support it down here.
Right.
It's kind of a chicken or the egg discussion. Most of the time, restaurants and shops aren't going to go somewhere until they have rooftops. But oftentimes, rooftops want to be built where there's amenities.
Yes.
And so we got to do one. We're trying to, it's a two-pronged approach. We're trying to do both at the same time. And whatever we can get proposals to do, we're glad to try to move that progress forward. So we're hoping that either way we can go with it. We've had lots of progress. Downtown Alive has done a good job adding to the options, amenities, restaurants, shops for downtown Blue Springs. And so there's a lot more here now than was just even 5 or 10 years ago. And because of that, there's a lot more interest to live down here as well. And then with additional density will come the need for more amenities. And it's a cycle that continues with growth, and that's what we're trying to spur that progress. And I was trying to get that cycle moving up. So we're getting a lot of questions about which are technically District 1, but we'll throw them a bone. So questions about ADP and I-70 or Duncan Road. So there's two questions, one about craters on the asphalt at ADP and I-70. Again, anything that is in accordance with I-70 is technically the responsibility of MoDOT. So even though it's on ADP, if it's under I-70, it's MoDOT's responsibility. And so just like you saw on the east exit ramp going south 7 Highway on 7 coming off of I-70, there were large potholes in that turn lane for a while, and it was a while after we told them. And so we just have to keep telling them, hey, this is something that needs to happen. It needs to happen right away. It's a safety hazard. So same thing with those on ADP. They've been told. It's probably worth revisiting with them again to kind of emphasize the priority of it. Same thing. There's a question about a turn lane at Adams Dairy going towards, Adams Dairy and Duncan. Okay, so there's two questions about Adams Dairy and Duncan Road.
Okay.
That is all Blue Springs.
Yes.
So if there's a pothole or something like that needs to be addressed, you can email your council member. There's a portal on the city's website, bluespringsgov.com, that you can enter that information and make sure somebody knows about it. Did I forget something, David? No, okay, I'm just making sure. You can enter that information there, and that's something the city
Yep.
can take care of.
We do have a pothole crew that goes out and works, so sometimes they run a little bit behind because, we fight like every other business seems to fight, understaffing.
Are you aware of any discussions about a right turn lane from Adams Dairy onto Duncan going east? I don't know if there's been discussions about that, Michelle. It's something we can follow up on.
Yeah.
I'll make a note of it, and if you can email a council member, then we can follow up on that. I don't know of any discussions about an east turn lane from ADP to Duncan, but there is a lot of development going on there.
Yep.
You have 3 neighborhoods to the east.
Yes.
4 to the north and east.
Pillars,
Yeah, Somerset,
Somerset.
4 pillars, all going to the north and
Yep.
east. So it might be something we're doing if there's a traffic need there.
Well,
Just-
hopefully, those council members are listening in case they need
That's right,
cues.
that's District 1's problem.
This is District 1. While
Terry-
we're on that, might as well, you'll probably see some development on the, it's the grassy areas right by 40 Highway, the median
Yeah,
down through there. They're going through and replanning and trying to improve that intersection to see what, to improve the look of it. So we'll see some of that happening this year. Parks and Rec crew, I got to compliment our Parks and Rec crew. Last year, we complained about maintenance, and myself, Councilman sitting next to me, and then a couple other people are complaining about the conditions of the park. And Parks was really struggling last year with the contractors they had that were doing and taking care of the cleanup and mowing of the parks. So that was a topic we said we need to maintain our parks. And I've got to compliment Dennis and his staff and the crew that he hired this year. They're mowing the grass in the parks once a week. They're out there Tuesdays and Wednesdays, and they mow in those 2 days all the parks. Now, we are trying, or he is trying, I should say, not us, but he, to get them to move that to a Wednesday-Thursday schedule, and hopefully try to next year, if this company stays in and everything works out, maybe doing a Thursday-Friday schedule. That way, when you go to the parks on the weekend, it's freshly mowed grass and really nice. But I've toured the parks. I've gone around. Once a month, they go through the waterways, which is the gravel ditches that transmit the creeks and stuff through the parks, and they're cleaning those out once a month. They're mowing the parks every week, and they have another contractor that's trying to keep the bathrooms clean and maintained. I would say that if you see somebody doing vandalism in our parks, or you see somebody trying to trash the bathrooms, let somebody know. We would really like to know what's going on with that. We actually did that last council meeting.
Yeah,
We approved putting cameras. We're going to put cameras in the parks. We'll have them at the entrances, and we'll have them in key positions to be able to keep track of what's going on in our parks. We're not the only city that's going through this. Other cities are having the same issues with people vandalizing the parks. I don't know why, if you got something nice, why somebody wants to deface it, but it's happening. But if you do see something, say something. That's the motto. But compliments to the Parks Department. Hopefully you enjoy it. If you don't, or if you see something that needs to be taken care of, do let us know, and we'll be more than happy to pass that along to the Parks Department and see if we can get that improved.
We only got about 10 minutes left, so we will, this will still be up, and we can kind of keep an eye on other questions that are asked afterwards, but we've got a few more minutes. You have a last-minute question. There is a comment here about drainage problems with the Jones Street development. I think that was another comment that was made, the parking and potential drainage issues. So it's things that are continuing being looked at as the project goes through the process. So there's not a final plan on that yet.
Most of the developments, when you come in, the development standard is that the water runoff cannot be any more than what it was prior to the development. That means you have to have retention ponds or underground storage or some way of holding that water due to the fact that you've taken away the the natural grass absorption of the dirt or whatever with impervious
Impervious, yes, impervious.
surfaces. So that is one of the development requires. So even if he does come in and did this project, he would still have to account for that in some aspect and make sure that there's no more stormwater running off than there is prior to his project coming in.
There's a question about panhandling, and every once in a while we see some camp spots.
We do.
So there are some homeless individuals that we are aware of occasionally take up residence in particular areas. Once we become aware of it, the city addresses it. So contrary to popular belief, we don't know everything that goes on all the time. So until somebody tells us that something is happening, then we're able to address it. So
sometimes it takes somebody to step forward and say something. We do have an ordinance that doesn't allow overnight camping on city property. So we do have that to where we can come back and kind of, I don't want to say kick them off, but ask them to leave. But it also helps that if there's a problem at a business or a restaurant or that they come forward and say, hey, we don't want them trespassing on our property. That gives us the right to come back and ask them to move off the property. So
yeah, that becomes the concern is when there's trespassing on private property. We try to address it when we become aware of it. Short of that, we just try to become aware of those when we can and address them when we get them. So I think we do a pretty good job doing that. Occasionally something will happen for a couple of days before we know. And like I said, we can only address it once we're aware of it. So if it's the same thing as vandalism, if you see something going on that's a concern, trespassing on private property as well, then that's something to let us know about, and it can be handled. So.
And if you see this and you got a comment or you have a question that you want answered, we have an email. You can go to the city website and find our emails. You can email us. We'd be happy to try to answer those questions and get back to you. By the way, we had somebody sneak in the back there, Byron Cradoff. He's the Planning Commission, new chair for the Planning Commission.
Yes.
So I want to say hi. I don't want you to feel like you're being ignored back there.
You should have seen how he was dressed last week. He was to the nines. He had matching pocket square, coordinating tie. He was looking good for his first night as Planning Commission chair. So he stepped up his game. I would say also to kind of echo what you were talking about, we are pretty easy to get a hold of. So every council member has an email address that's on the city's website. So bluespringsgov.com, city's website. We all have an individual personal email that you can email us directly. There's a way to email the whole council as well. Several of us are on Facebook. We're able to answer some questions on that. There are with politicians and transparency, there are rules that go along with what we're allowed to discuss and who we're allowed to discuss it with and in what context. And so there are some things we would maybe push you to the email if we get a question that's specifically related to some topics. But in general, all council members, the mayor included, are very accessible. We are able to answer questions at council meetings as well. And so
you're always welcome to come out and take part of the visitor section.
Absolutely.
You may not get both of us answered, because if one of us answers, they usually copy the other party, and that way we know what's going on, as opposed to both of us trying to answer your question at the same time. One of us will answer and copy it through and say, hey, Chris, this is what's going on, or this is what's happening, that type of deal. So.
But generally we'll make sure it gets addressed one way or another. So in the audience here, we got about 5 minutes left. Do you think of anything else, Doug, that you needed asked about before you leave today? Burning questions? Personal self? Actually, there are phone numbers on the city's website as well.
They are published out there, yes.
I don't know, mine is my cell phone number. It's because I've never had a home phone, so that's just how it goes. But
before we get off of here, thank you to David and Miranda for doing this. This is kind of stressful in that we took it off-site. We took it away from a city facility and went to one of our downtown restaurants. And, hopefully we had a good crowd. We did get some people in here, which is nice. Good to see these people.
And look how good they made us look. I mean, that takes a lot of work in and of itself. For our closing statements, kind of wrap everything up, we covered kind of new things happening in parks. Development that's new and exciting to some things we'd like to see. A lot of stuff going on downtown, a lot of questions about downtown. So that'll be ongoing conversations as we review the new stuff for the Lumberyard project, as we review this project at Jones Street. I know there is talk about on the 15th in Maine having not an archway, but I know they're kind of entrance monument for that as well. So what we got parks, there's nothing really going on with the police department besides we need police officers. So please apply, or if you know somebody, please have them apply. We have had we had a couple transfer officers that are starting out. I had one graduate the academy. So we are working on that. And attracting some new people as well.
Yeah, if you go to our website, you can see we've got job openings in most of our departments. Spring programs or summer programs are starting up with the Parks Department, so they got those opportunities for the kids to do stuff with. We got a couple of projects that are going on right off of 40 Highway over there by Price Chopper.
Oh, sure, okay.
That'll be a nice development going in there. So there's a lot of stuff that's still going on in our district.
Yeah, absolutely. So trying to think what else we covered. We covered parks. We got planning. We got the police department. We got the new city. So we got administration. I think we covered it all. I think we're pretty good stuff.
David and Miranda for branching out with us and letting us do this. So thank you guys for coming tonight.
Yeah.
Jen's not here. We could thank Jennifer Hofchild with the pizza shop for allowing us to take over her back room.
Open till 9 o'clock tonight, so you still have time to get some pizza.
Yeah, there's still some pizza here, so.
Couple of shout outs for some residents. So we're open for questions. We will keep an eye. Some of us will review this, and if there's questions, throw them on the Facebook here, and we'll try to answer those as well. Email us. Do you have any parting comments?
No, it's been 2 years since we did this, so we're kind of rusty on it. But
we had to wear masks last time.
We usually try to do these at least twice a year, if not 3 times. So
yeah, I think it's got more down to once a year in recent years.
Well,
we try.
Trying to have a goals here, you know.
We have goals twice a year.
Yeah, it's goals.
Maybe we should just plan the next one now, say like October or something.
Yep.
Okay.
Now, David, I still want that green screen behind us. I think that would be great because if the weatherman can do it, so can we.
Next town hall will be from the moon. Yeah. All right. Well, we're kind of a minute early, but I think we've earned it. We can get some pizza.
Yep.
So, have any questions? Feel free to throw them in the comments, and we'll be glad to answer them. And thanks for sticking with us for an hour. Enjoy your evening.
Thank you.